I'd like to turn now to political strategist and commentator Rina Shah, former senior congressional aide. Rina, thank you so much for hopping on the call. You know, we know this is going to fire up former President Trump's base. The big political question being, I believe now, how is this going to play for voters in the middle who are watching this from home? What's your read on that this morning, Rina?
Hi, Kelly. We have a lot to look at and unpack with this ruling now from this judge in Georgia, because while he has rendered a decision in the court of law, there is now the court of public opinion that gets to weigh in on just what this means for this election, which is less than 250 days away. We are looking at a lot on the line here for the former president who would like to be a future president. And when you look at what has gone on in Georgia, there is a tremendous amount that Fani Willis brought to the fore here. And that is why I believe in many ways this is so tough when you see this impropriety, this romantic relationship she has had with her colleague that we only learned about in January, not because she admitted it to the court, but because the other side, Trump's people, found out about it. So now in politics, it's not unusual for us to do opposition research. But the fact that this came out through a variety of sources, largely the divorce proceedings, of course, of Mr. Wade, we learned that money was exchanged. We learned that lavish trips were involved. And that's where I think you see here that this DA, Willis, is not going to go unscathed. Her life is forever changed. So while this ruling today looks like a win for her, for Fani Willis, I would encourage people to read this 20-plus page ruling, because the judge has pretty much torched her reputation and talked about how her use of racial language was improper, and he's also questioned her judgment. And that is something that is absolutely a blemish on what would have been considered a very remarkable professional career.
You know, we haven't heard yet from the former president. He has been consistent, though, in his remarks that there's a two-tier justice system at play here. We've heard a bit from his legal team. What are you expecting to hear directly from candidate Trump, and when, Rina?
I think we'll hear it soon, because that is the former president's style, to take to the soapbox, and also what he does is often cry victim. That is not going to change here. He's going to say that he is unfairly prosecuted and that these RICO charges, in plain speak, racketeering charges, which are just bombastic, were completely unfounded. Now, I must say, in my opinion and in my analysis of the situation, I do believe that Fani Willis was improper to have this relationship with her colleague. And I do believe there was a bit of cover up as well. But how much does that impact how fairly candidate Trump, essentially the criminal here, is, again, innocent until proven guilty? But still, how much does that impact what was brought against him? I'd like to remind our audience, I mean, he was indicted with 18 co-defendants. That's unusual, because in the other 3 jurisdictions he's been charged, he doesn't have co-defendants there, this many at least. And this was about the interfering in the Georgia election. Now, you have a lot of good people on the ground in Georgia, Republicans, I must add, who feel that the former president did so wrong there. And again, this is about a fair trial for him. So I do think he will make that the core of this case. But again, reminding people that this happened last August. This has been many, many months on the line where we have questioned how fair these charges are towards Trump. And then since January, we've been questioning how fair Fani Willis has been. And at times, Kelly, I must also add, it has been really unusual to see that she has almost stood trial in talking about this relationship with the court. So this is just completely uncharted territory. We don't know how this is going to play out for folks. But one thing is for sure, the Trump camp is going to make it seem like he has been victimized and unfairly targeted by a DA who has had a radical agenda against him and used people in her romantic and personal life to do that as well.
Well, we will certainly be awaiting those comments, bringing them live as soon as they appear or maybe are spoken. Rina Shah, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
And still